Today on Rappler. Drug war victims and the prosecution hit delays in the ICC proceedings against Rodrigo Duterte. The government eyes cisterns in housing sites as well as holistic waste disposal to mitigate floods. The Migrant Workers Department files a graft complaint against Arnell Ignacio over a 1.4 billion peso land deal. An 8.8 magnitude earthquake in Russia leads to tsunami warnings and evacuation orders across the Pacific. And Australia widens a teen social media ban to include YouTube. Victims of the drug war and the prosecution at the International Criminal Court hit delays in the proceedings, which were the result of moves by the defense team of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. Nicholas Kaufman, Duterte's lead counsel, told the ICC on July 17 they received further information on a much-awaited detail concerning the case. On the same day, Kaufman asked the ICC to defer ruling on Duterte's request to be granted an interim release. He said they have yet to obtain an essential element to boost their case. The prosecution opposed this request, but the pretrial chamber agreed to defer until the defense completes their information or until the judges deem it appropriate to decide. Joel Bituyan, an ICC-accredited counsel who represents some victims, said he was surprised that the pretrial chamber granted the request.
Just the mere mention of the possibility that the court will rule to give an interim release is really re-traumatizing many of the victims. Many of the victims that we're encountering are really expressing fears that their security would be compromised, and they might inhibit themselves from participating in the ICC proceedings if Mr. Duterte is released, even in the interim.
The Office for the Public Counsel for Victims says to suspend the ruling on jurisdiction would set a dangerous precedent. The ICC pre-trial chamber is set to decide on September 23 if they will confirm the crimes against humanity murder charges against Duterte. Cabinet members share early plans to deal with flooding, including rainwater collection and better waste management, after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. spoke out against corruption in flood control projects. Environment Secretary Rafael Lotilla says they are working with Housing Secretary Ping Aliling to create a policy that would either encourage or require housing developers to add cisterns to their projects. Cisterns collect rainwater and help ease pressure on drainage systems during heavy rain by storing water temporarily. Lotilla adds that garbage blocks drainage systems, making flooding even worse. Meantime, environmental groups call on the Philippine government, especially the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, to push for a strong global plastics treaty that would reduce plastic production. The DENR leads the Philippine delegation in the negotiations. Marian Ledesma of Greenpeace Philippines says, quote, "Floods are the symptom. The plastic crisis is part of the disease." In a recent The Green Report interview, Jam Lorenzo of Ban Toxics points out that plastic production started as a waste management issue. Department of Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Kakdak says the agency has filed a complaint before the Office of the Ombudsman against former Overseas Workers Welfare Administration Chief Arnell Ignacio and 2 deputy administrators. This over an anomalous 1.4 billion peso land acquisition deal that led to Ignacio's dismissal from his post. The department also includes the private seller of the land in the complaint. Kakdak adds the deal deliberately bypassed the OWA Board of Trustees under, quote, highly questionable circumstances that amount to violations of various laws, but most notably the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. For 2 months after Ignacio was fired, the DMW looked into the matter and found more details about the deal, including vouchers and checks that were supposedly signed before the sale agreement. Ignacio has denied irregularity in the deal and insists that it was above board. A strong magnitude 8.8 earthquake near Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula on Wednesday, July 30, caused 4-meter tsunami waves and led to evacuation orders across the Pacific. The shallow quake damaged buildings and injured several people in the remote Russian area. Russia's Ministry for Emergency Services says a kindergarten was damaged, but most buildings withstood the quake. No serious injuries or fatalities have been reported. Parts of Japan's east coast hit hard by a 2011 tsunami were also told to evacuate. Tsunami alarms sounded in coastal towns across Japan's Pacific coast, and evacuation orders were issued for tens of thousands of people. In Hawaii, waves up to 1.7 meters hit the island before the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center lowered its warning level, saying no major tsunami was expected. Australia says it will include YouTube in its world-first ban on social media for teenagers, revising an earlier decision to exclude a platform that could lead to a legal challenge. The change followed a recommendation from the internet regulator, which cited a survey showing 37% of minors had seen harmful content on YouTube, the worst showing for a social media platform. The decision broadens the ban set to take effect in December. YouTube, used by nearly 75% of Australians aged 13 to 15, argues it should not be classified as social media because its main activity is hosting videos. A YouTube spokesperson says, quote, "Our position remains clear. YouTube is a video sharing platform with a library of free, high-quality content increasingly viewed on TV screens. Since the government said last year it would exempt YouTube because teachers often use it, other platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok have complained. They argue YouTube is similar to their apps, with features like user interaction and algorithm-based content suggestions. Under the ban, teens under 16 can't have YouTube accounts, though parents and teachers can still show them videos." And that's today's wrap. I'm Kara Oliver. Thank you for watching. Click the link below for the full story. Follow us on Rappler's YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok.